We are inside the 1 month mark until the presidential election, and here's what we've heard from the Obama campaign. The life of Julia, Sandra Fluck, put you all in chains. Romney killed a steelworker's wife, raided American companies, and invested in China. Let's not forget that Romney would have passed on Osama bin Laden and doesn't want blacks and Hispanics to vote. Oh, dog on top of the roof, and Romney likes to bully gay teens, plus hope, change, and forward. All of these campaign themes are now failing Obama. Romney is up in all 11 battleground states. He's beating Obama with military voters 2-1 and has seen a 12-point boost with the lady parts crowd. So what does that all mean? Time to return to the tried and untrue class warfare attacks. Remember when Obama called Romney's tax plan Romneyhood?
Governor Romney's plan would effectively raise taxes on middle-class families with children by an average of $2,000 to pay for this tax cut. He'd ask the middle class to pay more in taxes so that he could give another $250,000 tax cut to people making more than $3 million a year. It's like Robin Hood in reverse. It's Romneyhood.
Remember, keep that word pay and give. Dirty politicking Barbie Stephanie Cutter must have spent all night in her plastic Barbie Malibu beach house thinking it was time to give new life to the whole Romney wants to spend, keyword spend, $5 trillion on tax cuts for the rich. Here is Cupcake Cutter a couple of weeks ago stating that Romney's tax plan cost $5 trillion.
Here are Mitt Romney's tax cuts. And if you add up the lowering the tax rate by 20%, eliminating the alternative minimum tax, repealing the high-income payroll, repealing the estate tax, and lowering taxes for corporations, that totals $5 trillion. So that's Mitt Romney's tax cut. It costs $5 trillion.
It costs $5 trillion. Well, now here's Mitt Romney in his own words during the debate that Obama lost because of the altitude.
Let me repeat what I said.
Right.
I'm not in favor of a $5 trillion tax cut. That's not my plan. My plan is not to put in place any tax cut that will add to the deficit. That's point one. So you may keep referring to it as a $5 trillion tax cut, but that's not my plan.
Okay.
Number two, let's look at history. My plan is not like anything that's been tried before. My plan is to bring down rates, but also bring down deductions and exemptions and credits at the same time so the revenue stays in, but that we bring down rates to get more people working. My priority is putting people back to work in America.
It doesn't really matter what Romney really says. They just keep on keeping on with their attacks. It's just that simple. Just within the last week, Cutter went on CNN to defend her $5 trillion assertion, only to find herself in a debate that went nowhere.
He's campaigned on lowering tax rates by 20% for everybody, including those in the top 1%. That was one of the main selling points in the Republican primary.
Right, so you're saying if you lower them by 20%, you get a $5 trillion tab, right?
It's a $5 trillion tab.
But then when you close deductions, it's not going to be anywhere near $5 trillion. That's our analysis.
Well, okay, stipulated. It won't be near $5 trillion.
Yeah, that's the point. Forgetting that for a second, forgetting this cost and spend and give away, let's look at this two ways. First, from the concept of punishing the many for the sins of the few. You see this in team-building exercises, like in the military. When one member of the group fails, you don't punish that individual, you punish the group. Why? Well, either you want the individual to learn from the guilt of seeing everyone else pay for his or her failure, or you want the group to take action against the failing individual. Now, progressives see federal spending as absolute. Kinetic spending cuts or actual spending cuts are out of the question. Now, since Democrats have not been able to raise taxes on high-income earners, well, they could have. I mean, they could have. They had the House, the Senate, and the White House. I mean, they chose not to, but they've taken to blaming high-income earners for this. They have taken to the threat of punishing the rest of the group with higher taxes. So it's up to everyone else to act against the rich or suffer the consequences themselves with higher taxes. The other view is this concept of spending on tax cuts for the rich. Again, spending is off the table. This $5 trillion number, actually $480 billion, but who's counting, came from a report, the Tax Policy Center. It's just one report, and the Obama campaign has been running with it. Here's an easy analogy to understand what the Obama campaign wants you to believe. Now, this is my associate producer, Lindsay. She is yes, hi. You can see she is representing the IRS. This bin represents the Treasury. This bin represents spending. So now they always say, Andrew, you do such a great job. And I say, well, that's why they pay me the medium bucks. But for this exercise, I'm a rich guy. Now, here I am paying my taxes to the IRS, which go into the Treasury. Right? So I'm paying lots of money in. It's going to the IRS and into the Treasury. From there, Congress appropriates that money, and it goes from the Treasury to spending. This is the IRS. There we go. Spending, right? Now, according to what the Democrats and Obama is saying, because the rates haven't rose, I don't put this in. I don't give this to the IRS. It's equivalent to the IRS giving me something. Good. Give me something. Actually, that's not happening. See, that's not actually happening. The money isn't going from the tax base into the Treasury to me. I'm just not putting it in. So this money is not leaving me for the IRS. So this concept that somehow that rich people are the beneficiaries of spending on tax cuts is nonsense.